بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Okay, so share screen. Here we are. So you can see my screen now, yeah? Alhamdulillah. So we have looked at already. We have seen, if we look at this very quickly, we have seen from the beginning. Alhamdulillah. So the definition of the term sciences of the Quran, then the benefits of us studying the Ulum al-Quran. We looked at a brief history of this, starting from the Prophet ﷺ, to his Sahaba, to his Tabi'een and Tabat Tabi'een. Then we started looking at the meaning of the word Quran linguistically, and then its technical definition, and then the 5 names of the Quran. And then we started to look at the Quran explaining itself, the Sunnah describing the Quran, and then the rewards for reciting and practicing the Quran. And then we moved on to the concept of revelation, the wahi, what is the need for it, why we need it, and then the linguistic meaning, and then how this word has been used in the Quran, followed by a technical definition of the word wahi. And it says, the kalamullah al-munazzal ala nabi min anbiya'ihi, the speech of Allah revealed upon his prophet who is one of his prophets, and the different forms that wahi took place, in which wahi took place upon Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then the difference between Hadith Qudsi and Quran. And we also looked at the definition of Hadith before that. And then last time we looked at the stages of revelation of the Quran. So to Lawh al-Mahfuz, Allah Ta'ala, He has ordered the pen to write it in Lawh al-Mahfuz. Then the inzal of Quran from Lawh al-Mahfuz to the lowest heaven, all in one go, and then tanzil, gradual revelation to the Prophet ﷺ over 23 years. And we looked at then the main thing. There was the wisdom behind gradual revelation. We looked at 6 points there. So some slides are not completely there, but at least we have the framework there, then we can add, inshallah. So now we want to look at today, inshallah, the next section of the book, and the page numbers are given there, regarding the first and last ayat revealed, or surahs revealed. This is more focused on the first ayat that were revealed. What is the first ayah? And it's well known that the first ayah is the first 5 ayat of Surah Al-Alaq. Iqra' bismi rabbika alladhi khalaq, khalaqa al-insana min alaq, and the first 5 ayats. But before that, there is a topic in the book, and I gave it this heading, the universality of the message of the Prophet ﷺ. Meaning that he has been, and when we look at those ayat, and I'll try to look at them here, I can go on. You don't have a Quran app on this, do you, Abdullah? If I just go to, Quran.com. Huh? Sharing was proposed. I don't know. Share screen. Alright, so you have to select which screen you are. You can see it now, eh? Okay. So if we go to You can follow I'm doing now? Yeah, 42.7. I'm not going to do this for everything because this is going to take too long. But anyway, 42 ayah 7 regarding the Prophet's universality and his message and his mission. So Allah Ta'ala mentions here in ayah 7 regarding the revelation and it being sent to the Prophet for him to then warn people. وَكَذَلِكَ أَوْحَيْنَا إِلَيْكَ قُرْآنًا عَرَبِيًّا. So we sent, this is how, just like previously, we also sent to you the Quran revelation. It is clear Arabic, and the objective is لِتُنْذِرَ, yeah, so that for you to warn then al-Qura, the main cities or towns, central cities, وَمَنْ حَوْلَهَا, and that around them, وَتُنْذِرَ يَوْمَ الْجَمْعِ, and then to warn them of the day of gathering in which there is no doubt, and the people will be in two categories, people of Jannah and people of Jahannam. So this is one ayah mentioning the Prophet's mission is to convey the message and to warn people of the coming of the Day of Judgment. And then in ayah 158, Surah 7, Surah 7, 158. This ayah is very important. Qul, say, Ya ayyuhan nas, O mankind. So this is not referring to only the people of his time, yeah, or the Quraysh or the believers or anybody, but it is universal, an-nas. Inni Rasulullah ilaykum, indeed I am the messenger sent to you of Allah, jami'an, to all of you, O mankind. Yeah. So the universality of the Quran, we should be clear from the Quran that this message has been sent to the Prophet for the whole of humanity. And one other place is Surah 26, Ash-Shu'ara, and near the end, ayah 192. وَإِنَّهُ لَتَنْزِيلٌ. لَتَنْزِيلٌ. So, tanzil means what? Good. Very good. Gradual, piecemeal revelation, this Quran is. So you will find in the Quran Allah mentions both, yeah, inzal and tanzil. So now you know, when it says revelation, what type, you know, if you know the Arabic, as you do, alhamdulillah, know that at least the words inzal, tanzil, or a derivative of that, you realize that this Allah Ta'ala is talking about the gradual, or this is talking about when it came down. So it becomes very clear. So this is the revelation which was sent, as you mentioned, piecemeal. Nazala bihi ruhul amin, who brought it down? The trustworthy spirit, which is Jibreel Islam. Ala qalbika, upon your heart, litakuna min al-munzirin. This is the key word here, munzir. Yeah, the one who has come to warn you, to forewarn you, to prepare you, to clarify the purpose of this revelation, and to tell you the consequence, to give you the choice, essentially. Yeah. So this is the objective of the Prophet ﷺ and the universality. There's other ayah, كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ بَشِيرًا وَنَذِيرًا. What was before that? Where is it, you know? وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ. كَافَّةً لِلنَّاسِ means he is sufficient enough for whole of humanity. So, and from the ayat we see this, and of course from the ahadith. So that was mentioned there in that section. The next section we want to go to now is the main topic, which is the fine. So if we go to light sorter, this. go to the okay, can I go back to the where I can see them on the left, the pane. Let me try that works.
Yeah.
This one? This one?
Normally.
No. Anyway, the software sometimes they cause more problems than solve. Huh? Okay, introduce different. Add a new slide to that. Add a new slide to that. So we want to
Actually.
look. Oh, I have to stop. I have to do that again.
Yeah.
Why do they do that? So every time we have to do that.
No.
There we go. So we are. Okay. So the first revelations, yeah? The first ayat, or the ayah to be revealed, as I mentioned, it is the ayah from Surah Al-Alaq. First 5 ayat, yeah? Surah Alaq, first 5 ayat. Now, this, there are 4 opinions it mentions here, but we will find that this is the most authentic opinion. The last 2 opinions are unauthentic. The hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha is useful to read here because it gives you a nice context of this whole beginning of revelation. So we'll read that, inshallah. In fact, you can read it. If we read from this paragraph on page 89, the first main paragraph, you can read that. You read that, and then second paragraph you can read it. Let's have a listen to that. First main paragraph.
Proof for this opinion?
No, I don't
From
know.
the top?
Show me. No. First main paragraph. Yeah.
The proof for this opinion is the hadith narrated by Al-Bukhari from Aisha, in which she said, the commencement of the divine revelation to Allah's Messenger was in the form of good dreams which came true, like the bright daylight. Then the love of seclusion was bestowed upon him. He used to go for seclusion to the cave of Hira, where he used to worship Allah continuously for many days, before his desire to see his family caused him to return. He used to take with him food for the stay and then come back to Khadija to take his food again until the truth descended upon him while he was in the cave of Hira. The angel Jibreel came to him and asked him to read. The Prophet ﷺ responded, I do not know how to read. Yeah.
Okay, so from this paragraph we know that how did the revelation start? In what form? True dreams. Yes? The true dreams. Ar-ru'ya sadiqa. True dreams that the Prophet would see, and then what he saw would come in front of his eyes. He would see that happening. So this is preparing the Prophet ﷺ, yeah? Because if the angel would come suddenly, it would have been too much of a shock. But this is preparing the Prophet ﷺ for something that will come. That I dream and it comes true, I dream and it happens, I dream and it happens. So there's something initially odd, but alright, this is happening to me. And it's not my imagination, it happens. And then the Prophet ﷺ, he would, as it mentions there, seclude himself in the cave of Hira. It says worship there, yeah? For worship?
Yeah.
So what was his worship? You have to think of that, no? What form of worship did it take place? Because there's no salah yet. He doesn't even know. He's messenger. He doesn't follow a Sharia. He is on what at this point? What is he following? In the absence of any revelation, any past Sharia, he's following his fitrah. Yeah? Fitrat Allah allati fatara nas alayha. And the azkar morning and evening, asbahna ala fitrat al-Islam wa ala millati abina Ibrahim. So he was on the millah of Ibrahim alayhi salam, his fitrah. So his fitrah was telling him there is one Allah, because he never accepted the mushrikeen and the idol worship. This was his instinct of reverence to Allah, we mentioned by fitrah. And his morality did not allow him to do any sin. Morally, he was known to be the most trustworthy, honest. And he was disturbed by what was happening around him, because it was unjust. Yeah, not only the injustice, because a lot of times we understand that the Prophet saw injustice. What injustice did he see in his time that we know of in the Quran? He mentions, social wrongs. Burying of girls. What else? Think. What were the rich people doing to the poor people? Slaves that were... The slave was essentially your property. You can do anything with it. You can do anything with a slave. Just like you can do anything with something that you buy. Nobody will tell you do this or don't do that with it. It's your property, yeah? So this is another injustice that we see. What else did we see injustices? Social injustices. Shouldn't think. That then the Quran mentions we have done this kataba to make sure this is corrected. Of course, idol worship, yeah? What else? Riba, exploitation by the rich, yeah? But the greatest injustice was shirk. That was the most disturbing for the Prophet ﷺ, because it went against his fitrah. His fitrah is the best fitrah. But there is no Sharia yet. So his nur, I mentioned before, yeah, in his heart of fitrah, it is looking for the nur of revelation instinctively, wanting to know what's the right way to do things. This also teaches us we cannot find the right way. When we mentioned before the need for revelation, this is not possible for us to find the right way unless Allah guides us. The other point to mention here is what was the name of the mount that he used to go to? You know the cave of Hira, yeah? The mountain had a name. Nur. Mountain of light. So you see his light, inside him Nur, on the mountain of light, seeking light. They're not coincidences, this is, of course, Allah's showing us this. And then Allah Ta'ala, He then sends Jibreel alayhi salam to him. This is the nur of Allah Ta'ala, His guidance coming down to the potential guidance of the humanity, in fact, because He is messenger for whole of humanity. So therefore we should understand this revelation, when it started, it was not just to a person. This was the revelation for whole of mankind. So this is probably the most significant historic event ever. The previous revelations were historic events, but why were they less significant?
The last one.
So, okay, this is the last one, but why is it more significant if it's the last one?
This one is for the whole of mankind.
Good. The previous prophets, messengers, their message was limited to time, to area, to audience. Limited. Yeah? Specific. This is general until the last day. So it is the, as you said, it is the final and it is the culmination of the revelation, to the perfection of revelation. So if we see it like that, then this topic becomes very important to know what was the first revelation, if you like. Yeah? So there is more or less, we can say for sure, the first 5 ayat of Surah Al-Alaq, these are the first revelation in terms of the first ayat, yeah, ayats, verses. Another narration, the second one, talks about Surah Al-Muddathir, Muddathir, yeah. But when you study the book, you will find that even the narration is saying that the Prophet ﷺ, he saw the angel again. Yes? So, and then when he went back to Khadija radiallahu anha, then he said, cover me, ya yul muddathir, ya, oh you covered up. So even the narration is saying that the Prophet ﷺ, he saw Jibreel before that once. So this cannot be the first surah that was revealed. However, it can be argued that this is probably the first complete surah to be revealed after the initial ayat of Surah Al-Alaq. You see the difference? So Surah Al-Alaq, first 5 ayat revealed, and then the rest of the surah is not revealed yet. Then after that, Surah Al-Muddathir revealed completely, and this is when the Prophet ﷺ, he looks up and he sees Jibreel Islam in his real angelic form, his real form. And you remember we mentioned the forms of wahi. Angel can come as a human or can come in his own form. So this is regarding the second opinion of the first revelation. So this is the surah in its entirety. You will also find in the book, because this is narrated by Jabir ibn Abdullah, it mentions that he may have come when the Prophet was explaining his experience of revelation, or the first revelation. He came midway while the Prophet was explaining this, so he missed the first part where the Prophet explained that Jibreel came to me in Hira, squeezed me 3 times, and I said, I cannot read, I cannot read, I cannot read. And then he revealed the first 5 ayat. Then when I was coming down the mountain, then I saw Jibreel, and then he said, Ya ayyuhal muddathir. This was after he had gone to Aisha and Khadija and then come back on a separate occasion. So therefore they explained that. So that
whom was Jibreel in the class?
that was in the form of a man, you could say. Yeah, because once here and once one other time, another ayah. Prophet saw him twice in his true form. Once here and Lina, I can't remember which ayah. But that was in the form of a man. Allah Allah. So that makes it very clear that the first 5 ayat are the first revelation. There are 2 other opinions, Surah Al-Fatiha and then the Basmallah, which is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. But these are not authentic according to the book, so we don't consider that. Surah Al-Fatiha, however, is one of the first complete surahs to be revealed. Yeah? Surah Al-Fatiha, one of the first complete surahs to be revealed. We have a list of, and this is there is some opinion you can't say 100% for all of them, but there is a very good, strong, you can say, suggestion, and we have a list, and you will find there's slight variation in different people's lists of the actual chronological order of revelation of the surahs. We have that. You could say more or less is correct, but we can't say 100% because they have to. You see, the way the scholars, they have to come to the conclusion is by looking at the period of revelation, the circumstances, the ayat, and we'll find more when we say Makki, Madani, what's the difference, the subject matter, and then the narrations of what the Sahaba said about this, etc., etc. So when you put all of that together, then you come up with a chronological order of the revelation of the Quran. But khair, alhamdulillah, we don't need to worry too much about that. It's good to know that. You will find some Orientalists have made this their main focus, and their whole objective was not to find the guidance, it was to find fault. And they have spent their whole life in this. There are people dedicated to this. And this book mentions that in some detail. I think Yasir Qadhi will mention in the end of his book when he talks about Orientalists. And we'll come to that inshallah. So these are the first revelation is the first 5 ayat, and then Surah Al-Mudassir as a complete surah. Wallahu alam. Okay. I don't know what's happening here now. Okay, let's move on to the last. There are 11 opinions about what was the last revelation. I'm not going to list them here, I'll just talk to them about them. There are 11 opinions in the book. But then he explains that. Anyway, we'll go through that now, yeah, inshallah. So the last, what is the last ayah, do you think, that you've heard that this was the last ayah to be revealed? إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحُ. So that is the last surah. So this is very famous in Surah Nisa, Al-Ma'idah. اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. Yeah, this is very well known, but this is, we will see today that this is not the final ayah to be revealed, and it will be very obvious because this is at what occasion was this revealed? اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم. It was revealed in the final Hajj of the Prophet, which is the only Hajj the Prophet did. Yeah. And Hajj happens in which month? Dhul Hijjah, month of Hajj. Dhul Hijjah is the last month of the Islamic calendar, 12 months. Okay. Then we have, what's the first one? Muharram, then Safar, then Rabiul Awwal. So if we go with the opinion that the Prophet died in Rabiul Awwal, although there is some dispute here, then this is at least 2 or 3 months before, because this is Yawm al-Arafah. Yawm al-Arafah is what day of Dhul Hijjah? The day before Eid, 9th, yeah? Yawm al-Arafah, the day before Eid, when we will fast inshallah. We are entering to Dhul Hijjah, possibly tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. So the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, the month of Hajj, is the Yawm of Arafah, when the people who are doing Hajj, they will stand in Arafah. This is when this section or these ayat were revealed to the Prophet. So he stayed alive for another roughly 3 months. Okay? But this is not the correct opinion therefore, yeah? But it's one of the opinions, one of the 11, it's the last one. Third, the first and most strongest opinion is narrated in Al-Bukhari, Sahih Al-Bukhari. Regarding Sahih Al-Bukhari, it is said that Sahih Al-Bukhari is the most authentic book after Quran. Sahih Al-Bukhari. Yeah? And then after that, which book? Sahih Muslim. Okay? Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim. So in Sahih Bukhari, al-Bukhari, it is narrated, and At-Tabari mentioned in his tafsir. Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, he mentions that the last ayah to be revealed is ayah 281. Yes, 281 of Al-Baqarah. So let's go to that. 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Okay. Here we go. Ayah 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah. وَاتَّقُوا يَوْمًا تُرْجَعُونَ فِيهِ إِلَى اللَّهِ. Fear the day you will all return back to Allah. ثُمَّ تُوَفَّ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ مَا كَسَبَتْ. And then every soul will be given what they have earned. وَهُمْ لَا يُظْلَمُونَ. And they will not be wronged in any manner. They will not be treated unjustly in any manner. This is the most authentic opinion, according to the book, this ayah 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah. Now we know Surah Al-Baqarah, majority of it was revealed when? Abdullah? Surah Medina when? La ilaha illallah. Allahu la sharika lahu, al-mulku wal hamdu wa ala kulli shay. You should know exactly, because we have been saying it for, I think now, since September we're mentioning it in Monday. That's
number one after Hijrah.
Very good. Immediately after Hijrah. Because it is the build up to Badr, which happened in what year?
Number two.
Yeah, second of Hijrah. But there are some ayat in Surah Al-Baqarah which were then revealed near the end of Madani period. Yeah? And this is the last ayah according to this narration. And because in this narration he also mentioned that then this, after this ayah, the Prophet ﷺ, he remained alive only for 9 days, 9 nights. There's a very strong, authentic, because in Sahih al-Bukhari and Ibn Abbas, yeah? And very explicit that this was revealed 9 days, 9 nights. Only the Prophet remained alive 9 nights after this. So therefore, we can say that there is, inshallah, very clear evidence there. Khair. Other opinions are that in this Surah Al-Baqarah, that the next ayah, which is 282, was the last. This is one opinion. Yeah, which is regarding loans. Okay? Regarding the loans. Then there is another opinion that ayah 278 of this surah, which is regarding interest. Have I got the right ayah there? 282, sorry. 282.
We can't see it on
Oh, you can't see it. Okay, let me share it then. Now you can see? Yeah. So this Dain, Ayatul Dain. This is the lengthiest ayah of the Quran as well, by the way. Yeah? 282. Ayatul Dain, the ayah about Dain. You can see this, subhanAllah, look at this. One ayah, the lengthiest ayah of the Quran, 282. This is another opinion. This is the last ayah to be revealed. But then as you will see, inshallah, in your book, this is talking about, this is not the last ayah in the Quran. This is the last ayah regarding this topic in the Quran. because there's a difference, yeah? Regarding interest, that was the last ayah regarding interest. Regarding loans, this was the last ayah regarding loans. And then the other opinion in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim is the ayah of Kalala, the last ayah of Surah An-Nisa. Bara ibn Azib, his narration, that this was the last ayah of Surah An-Nisa, ayah number 176. يَسْتَفْتُونَكَ قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ فِي الْكَلَالَةِ. So regarding the inheritance of somebody who doesn't leave anybody behind. Again, the way to understand this is the last ayah regarding this topic. This is not the last ayah of the Quran. Yeah? So this is how they understand this. And then the last two ayat of At-Tawbah, that's one opinion. Then the last surah to be revealed, as you mentioned already, is Surah An-Nasr. Surah An-Nasr. إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. Surah 110. Yes, this is the last surah. Yeah? The one opinion is this is the last surah, and the other is Al-Ma'idah is the last surah to be revealed. Yeah? So these are two surahs, not ayah, surahs. Then the other opinion is the last ayat of Surah Al-Ali Imran. Surah Ali Imran. Go to the end, 191 to the end. These are the last ayat. I mean, it continues because it doesn't finish the surah. But these are in response to the question by one of the companions, the She companion of the Prophet ﷺ, when she asked that the Prophet ﷺ, the Salama, yeah? She asked the Prophet ﷺ, why are women not mentioned in the Quran? Yeah? So then Allah Ta'ala, He revealed ayat, and one of them is this regarding. So this is the last ayat revealed about the women in the Quran. This is not the last ayah of the Quran. Yeah? So you understand that. And then there's one opinion of the last ayah of Surah Al-Kahf. And the last opinion I mentioned, Al-Yawma Akmaltu Lakum, we mentioned that in the beginning. So essentially we come to the conclusion that the last ayah is Surah Al-Baqarah 281, the last ayah to be revealed. The most authentic because of what? And you're right.
90.
Good. 9 nights. 9 nights. So when we listen to this carefully, when we try to recall any ilm, knowledge about Quran Hadith, we should try to repeat it, not just shortcut 9 days, 9 nights. Yeah, we try to, because this is authenticating things. Yeah, making sure. So because Ibn Abbas, he said the Prophet ﷺ did not stay alive except for 9 nights after this ayah. Therefore, it is the strongest opinion. Yeah. Wallahu a'lam about the last revelation. And the ayah itself, it seems you can say, you can't say with the authentic narrations, although there is. But look, you're talking about going back to Allah. Yeah? And then, إِذَا جَاءَ نَصْرُ اللَّهِ وَالْفَتْحِ. So when this was revealed, some of the companions, I think Abdullah ibn Abbas, started to cry, because he realized now, that's it. Prophet ﷺ, he has accomplished his mission. Now he will have to go back to Allah. This was in Arafah. This was 3 months before this. Yeah, roughly 3 months before this. So there were indications there of the last ayat. Khair. So that was the discussion about the last ayat or the last ayah. The rest of them, we said, just to recap, is referring to that topic. This is the last ayah of that topic. Yeah, so that we know. And that really helps. How does that help to know that this was the last ayah to reveal about this topic? How could that possibly help us? Although we haven't covered that topic yet, but
I mean, it's the final say.
good, excellent, excellent. It is the final say, and it abrogates, it cancels the previous rulings regarding that topic. And so this is the final say, which is nasikh and mansukh. We will look at that, inshallah. Good, alhamdulillah. The next section is relative first and last ayat. Yeah, so new slide. Set a new slide. There you go. First relative. So what does that mean? That means to a topic. I will add that to a topic. Yeah, to a topic. So it gives you first and last ayat to a topic. So it gives them, it mentions two in detail, then it just mentions one in passing, that the prohibition of alcohol was given first in 219, Surah Al-Baqarah, then Surah An-Nisa, and then finally in Surah Al-Ma'idah. We'll look at that in a minute. And then halal and haram, meaning regarding food, yeah, was given in Surah Al-An'am, then Surah Kahf. No, Surah Kahf, 18, that's 18. Surah Hijr. And then in Surah Al-Baqarah, in this order this is, and then in Surah Al-Ma'idah. And then the ayat regarding jihad. So this is saying this is the topic. Yeah, this is the order in which this topic was, the ayat regarding this topic was revealed. So let's look at the topic of alcohol, which is usually the most well known and easy to follow as well. And it is in order of the surahs as well. So 219, ayah 219 of Surah Al-Baqarah is saying, يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. So in the beginning, Allah Ta'ala, He is responding to the question. Now, يَسْأَلُونَكَ can mean at least two things. It can mean that they came to ask you, O Prophet ﷺ. Yes? Which is obvious, yeah? They ask you. The other is they had a question in their heart, but they didn't ask you yet. Okay? So Allah Ta'ala, He is revealing this. يَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ. They ask you regarding the intoxicants and gambling. So Allah Ta'ala, He responds, قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ. Tell them there is great sin in them. وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ. And there is some benefit. But وَإِثْمُهُمَا. But the harm in both of them, the element of sin, is greater. أَكْبَرُ مِن نَفْعِهِمَا. Is greater than its benefits. So that's it, yeah? So this is teaching us gradual. Because it's prohibition of something that is addiction. This is addiction, yeah? Quran telling us addiction, slowly you remove it. First, by telling the person that this is bad for you, to realize it's wrong, number one, that realization. And then the next stage is in Surah An-Nisa, for ayah 43. Allah Ta'ala mentioning, Ya alladhina amanu, O you who believe, La taqrabu salata, do not go near your salah prayer, Wa antum sukara, when you are intoxicated, Hatta, until and unless, Ta'lamu ma taqulun, unless you know, unless you come out of that state of intoxication and you are aware of what you are saying. So basically you're self-aware. You have not you have not lost your self-awareness, which means you are not drunk, you are not under the influence. So the first stage was in principle it is harmful. Now practically you have now been given a target, a real target, that you have to stay away from alcohol in such a manner that it doesn't disturb your salah. You see that, how it's gradually coming. SubhanAllah, so much to learn from that, just this one section. And then the final command comes where it has been prohibited. But this is, if we take the opinion that Surah An-Nisa was revealed in the 4th year of Hijrah, and we take Al-Ma'idah as in, let's say, 9th or 10th year of Hijri, which is 4 or 5 years later, this process is basically taken whole of Medina, the era in Medina, 7, 8 years for this addiction to be removed. So addiction needs time to come out of. And Allah Ta'ala, He's telling us about this. إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَن يُوقِعَ بَيْنَكُمُ الْعَدَاوَةَ الْبَغْضَاءَ Shaitan, indeed Shaitan, his only wish and desire is to cause enmity between you through khamr, intoxicants, and gambling. وَيَسُدَّكُمْ عَنْ سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ عَنْ ذِكْرِ اللَّهِ, and to stop you from remembering Allah and from salah. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ. So فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ is a warning. Are you going to stop or not? Yes? So it came in the end, yeah? So gradual. So this is one example of the first and last ayat regarding a topic. And similar for halal and haram, and then for jihad. So I want you to make a note, because there's no references for jihad, yeah? So your homework is, one of your tasks will be to find out which ayat, in which order were revealed regarding jihad. You'll find it, because nowadays Sheikh Google is very quick at finding everything, yeah? But you have to list them and think about them. So jihad, initially, what do you think what happened? Huh? No. Jihad here means qital, fighting, physical fighting. So Surah Al-Hajj you should know. Now you know. What did? No. That's the end, in the beginning, in the middle of Surah Al-Hajj. You don't pay attention, huh? Because in Surah Al-Hajj there is mentioned the opinion of his revelation, which is coming to the next topic we will start next time, inshallah. Makki Madani. Part of Surah Al-Hajj is Makki, and then it transits quickly. There's a transition from Makki to Madani, where the permission to do jihad and qital is given. Now you remember? Go on. I won't say the first word because it's so obvious after that. Permitted. What's the Arabic for that? You are now permitted to. It have. Huh? No, that means it's made halal for you. Uzina lilladhina. What's the ayah? So now you have been permission has been given. Permission. Before it means what? You were not permitted to fight back. This is in Medina, beginning of Medina. Now, Udina lilladhina, that the people who fight you, kill you, you can now retaliate. And then there's other you have to find. This is a very hot topic. Yeah? Fighting, killing, and kill them wherever you find them, all this stuff. You will find it, inshallah. So, alhamdulillah, we have covered what I would have liked to have covered today in the detail that I would have liked to have covered in, alhamdulillah. So we looked at The first ayat or ayat, first 5 ayat of Surah Iqra, Alaq, which is the opinion that it is the first 5 ayat. Then Surah Mudassir, the first complete surah, and we mentioned Fatiha is one of the first complete surah to be revealed. And then the last revelation, ayah 281 of Surah Al-Baqarah, because of the narration. And then the others we said that this is because that topic, yes, the last ayat in that topic. And then the relative ayat, first and last, regarding alcohol and halal haram, and then jihad. Qital is your extended learning, insha'Allah. And then we will go to Makki and Madani. We done 1 hour? I think 1 hour is complete, yeah? Makki and Madani we will look at. So there are categories of ayat beyond that as well, subcategories, and then what constitutes, say, Makki and what constitutes, say, Madani, definitions, and then the actual subject matter of Makki Madani. So, alhamdulillah, we come to the end of that for now. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. And we stop the sharing there, alhamdulillah.